After we get concentration, how should we practice vipassana until we attain Sotapanna, Magga, dan Phala? May Ajahn can explain in detail?
Oh, you have to do concentration until you are concentrated all the time first. You have to be able to stop your mind all the time from thinking. If you still cannot stop your mind from thinking, you cannot direct your mind to think vipassana. So you have to practice a lot of concentration until you can enter into jhana anytime, anywhere, and your mind remain calm all the time. Then you can then direct your mind to think about vipassana by thinking about anicca, dukkha, anatta on your body. Your first object is your body. Investigate, contemplate. The body is impermanent. It hurts you when you cling to your body. If you don't want to be hurt, then you should let go of your body. You cannot control your body. You cannot cling to your body. You do this until you can let go of your body. Then you become a Sotapanna. You know, I am no longer afraid of death. I am no longer attached to this body. I know this body is not me. I am the mind. The body is not me. You have to do. This is what you have to do. But before you can do this, you have to be able to enter into jhana first. You have to have appana samadhi first.
Except anapanasati and buddhanusati, can we use another object like skeleton or kasina?
Yes, 40 different type of kammatthana. You can choose the one that is suitable for you. Any method that can make your mind enter into the fourth jhana. That's where you need to go first. Make your mind enter the fourth jhana to have upekkha first. If you have no upekkha, no fourth jhana, you cannot control your thought. You cannot tell your thought to think of impermanent, think of anicca, dukkha, anatta.
Okay. Thank you, Sajjan.
Please speak close to the microphone.
My question is about developing my mindfulness practice, and if you could check if it's correct or not. I try to think about it in three ways. The first way is, if my mind is busy, I go back to the breath or to a mantra. If sometimes I feel a bit angry, I try to use metta. Or if there's some desire, then I like to meditate on the 32 parts of the body.
Yes.
And wondering if, firstly, if that is the correct way, and if you can add anything to it, please.
It sounds right to me, what you say, what you do. But you have to be the one to know with yourself whether it works or not. If it can calm your mind down or not. If they could calm your mind down, then that's the right method. Okay. The whole goal is to keep your mind calm and peaceful. When it becomes aroused by something, then you have to find the right medicine for it. If you're angry, then you have to have compassion or love, forgiveness. When somebody makes you angry, you just have to forgive them. When you forgive, if you can forgive, then your anger will disappear. If you have any sexual desire, then you have to contemplate on the 32 parts of the body. When you see the parts that is not attractive, then your desire for the body will then dissipate.
Is that only sexual desire, not other desires?
It depends what object of desire you have. If it's an automobile, then you have to use impermanence. The car won't last long, and the happiness you get from the car just briefly when you buy it. After you have it, then you start to have headache with it. Yeah. So maybe it's not worth having it. So you have to look that besides getting happiness from the object you want, you also get unhappiness you still have problem with things that you acquire, because they have problem. They change. They can become bad instead of good. They change. You have to look at the three characteristics of that object: impermanent, hurt yourself, and you cannot control them. You cannot tell them to be nice and good all the time.
And how about other conditions?
Same thing, any kind of condition is, they all fall within the three characteristics. Like right now, the heat, you might hate the heat, you want to get rid of the heat, but you know it's not under your control. It's anatta, it's the natural process that you have to learn to live with it. So you have to stop your desire of getting away from the heat or running away from it. The best way is to live with it. By making your mind calm, meditate, calm your mind, then your mind will accept whatever happened at that time.
And that would apply to things like grieving?
Yes, the same thing. Anything. If you run into a situation in which it costs you some emotional stress, then you just have to accept that the thing happened because it's not under your control. The problem is you don't want things like that to happen. That makes you sad. But things in life is like that. Things that you don't want to happen, happens. Things that you want them to happen, they don't happen. So you just have to take them as they come, good or bad.
Thank you.
All right? Okay. Okay, you can ask your question now.
Yes, hello everybody.
Can you
Suchart.
speak closer to the microphone?
More close, okay. My
Yes.
name is Ivan. I like to ask you one thing.
Closer. There.
When I started meditation, on the first day I was walking like 1 hour, and I was sitting like 40 minutes, I think.
Yes.
And I get the situation when like my mind go up in the air.
Yes.
So I was looking on myself when
Yeah.
I was sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was and I saw everybody who was sitting around me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very interesting experience was.
Yes.
And now and afterwards, about 2 days of meditation, I was I think like whole body and all my mind was I was combined, like not never before, like.
Mm-hmm.
And now still meditating, but I can't get it. This
The result that you had.
the first time, yes. Maybe I do something wrong now.
No, it's just it's the result that you get is not something that happens all the time. See, they come and go. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't come. This is not the result that we want or get from meditation. The result that we can always get from meditation is to make the mind peaceful, calm, and happy. But the other things are like peripherals. They are something that might come up, sometimes they might not come up. So you should not set your goal on this phenomena. You should set your goal in keeping the mind calm, peaceful, and empty. This is the purpose or the goal of meditation, to calm your mind, to empty your mind. Then your mind will become peaceful and at ease. See? When you think, when you worry, your mind becomes heavily burdened. So you stop your thoughts. When you can stop your thoughts, then your mind becomes light, peaceful, and happy. This is what we want from meditation. But sometimes the mind can create something extra, which is not something you should pay attention to, because they can distract your mind from the main purpose. And you can lose your way that way. If you start to look after for these things, which sometimes they might come, sometimes they might not come. And when they don't come, it makes you frustrated, makes you unhappy. And eventually you might not want to meditate anymore. So don't pay attention to this extra happening in your practice. Pay attention to the main thing that you should get is empty your mind, make your mind calm, peaceful, and happy.
Okay. One more question.
Yes.
I get some exercise from section 5, and I want to ask you, maybe you know some book, or you have a book for exercises like homework,
Homework?
Yes. I will explain. Like when I was at section 5, there was like an exercise when you sleep, at what breath you sleep, outside or inside when you breathe. So you go to sleep at what breath,
I see.
The second exercise that I get, like how many breathe in one breath inside, so, and how many outside breaths in. So you need to count, yeah. And what is the biggest, inside breath or outside?
I see.
I like this exercises, but I get it, and I remember when I sleep on outside breath, and I count it, and I want some more. Like, can I get it somewhere, maybe?
You might have to search in the internet for anapanasati. Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing. Then you can search for this term, and there will be lots of discourses dealing with this practice. Anapana means in and out breath. Sati is mindfulness. So anapanasati means mindfulness of in and out breath. But generally, when we practice, we don't have to go into that detail. All we have to know is just watch your breath. Use it as an anchor, so to prevent your mind from go thinking about other things. But if you can be more detailed, then you might have to be more mindful. So actually, it's just a way of getting you to be more mindful by counting your breath, or by counting how long your in breath is or out breath is. But the goal is to pull your mind away from thinking about other things. So the purpose is to stop your thinking. If you can concentrate on your breath, then you'll stop thinking. And when you stop thinking, your mind will become light, become peaceful and empty and happy. So that's the goal you want, not how much your breath is in or out. That's just the mean of getting to the result. Not the end. Being mindful is the mean to get to the result. Is to get your mind to become calm and peaceful. So don't lose the way. Sometimes you become attached to the mean and forgetting this is not what you want. The mean is only a vehicle, like an automobile, to get you from your house to here. Once you get here, you have to get out of your automobile and come here. See? So being mindful of your breath is just a way of getting your mind to enter into calm, into peace and happiness. That's what you should look for, the result. Am I happy yet? Is my mind still yet? Or am I still thinking? If you're thinking, even if you think about being mindful, then maybe this will block you from getting your mind to become peaceful and calm. So you should just watch without having to analyze your thoughts, your breath. Just watch your breath. Just be aware of your breath, whether it is coming in or it is going out, whether it is subtle or it is rough. Just know this thing. Know the breath for what it is. Don't try to force your breath. Don't control your breath. Leave the breath alone. You just want to watch it. in order to stop your mind from thinking about other things, so that you can stop thinking and then you can become peaceful and calm and happy. That's what you want in your meditation. Okay?
Yes, thank you. We have one question.
Okay, go ahead. Sure, go ahead. We have 3 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, you want to ask too? Okay.
Uh,
Oh, come on, you can. Just wait for him to finish his question first. Okay. Go ahead.
Here said, is wonderful. It is a very wonderful experience. Anyone who has experienced such happiness will glad to leave all the happiness behind. He will gladly give up places, possessions, servants, all the money he has. These things no longer mean anything to him. He will hasten search for a quiet place away from the people. It's mean when you meditate, you
Find peace inside yourself.
peace inside.
You're happy. You know it's better than any kind of happiness that you had before. So you want to have more meditation. So you would want to seek places where you can meditate and become happy inside.
In quiet places, yes.
Yeah, because places quiet can support your meditation. If you meditate in places where there are distraction sounds or smells or things, it can distract your mind from meditation.
I have like a life question. What about if you have family?
Well, then you have to somehow make arrangement eventually.
Uh-huh.
But you don't just do it suddenly. You might start to talk to your family and discuss the future, what you want to do, and see if they will see along with what you say or not. If not, then you might have to be prisoner, be with them, and just do whatever you can with them until eventually when they departed from this world. Then when you are free, then you can go on your own.
Thank you.
Okay, please hand to the gentleman behind you.
So, Kapkunka.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I have a sort of a personal question, and it has to do with, I've been doing yoga and meditation for over 40 years, okay, and recently mindfulness training. However, I'm not consistent. It goes up and down, up and down. Some people are shaking their heads, yeah, okay. And so I'm trying to determine how to become, when I hit that wall, how to be able to either accept that I've hit the wall or figure out a way to move through it so that I can go maybe not so to the next level, but just to not just give up altogether and then start all over again.
Well, the result is the product of your practice. If your practice is not consistent, then your result is not consistent. So you just have to be consistent with your practice. Try to stick to your schedule and do it every day. Then the result will become consistent. If you do it just when you feel like it, and when you don't do it when you don't feel like it, then the result will be just like that, up and down, up and down. So you have to maybe set a certain time, set a schedule for your practice, and try to stick to your schedule. At first you might do it not much, do as much as you can. Then as you move along, you might have more time and more energy to practice more. Then you increase your practice. This is the way to move forward. You have to increase your practice in order to get the more result that you like to have. Okay? All right. Okay.
So this morning, you mentioned about how difficult it was to go through transitions.
Yeah.
We all go through transitions in our lives. There's births, deaths, etc. But I was curious as to how your thoughts on how to go through different transitions towards the latter part of one's life.
Okay. Transition can be easy or difficult, depends on your attitude. If you have the attitude to to change, to transit, then it's easy. But if you still resist and you still want to stick to your original way, then it will be difficult. It's like teaching an old dog a new trick is difficult. But if the old dog is willing to learn the new trick, then it's not so difficult. So it's willingness, okay? The way to be able to have willingness is to see the benefit that you can get from your new trick, from your new way of living. So you have to at least know what you are getting when you are transiting from your old way to the new way. If you don't know, then it will be you're not inspired. Then you don't have the motivation to transit, to change. But if you know the benefit that you can get from changing to a new way, then you will be motivated. If you're not motivated, then you should talk to someone who had changed his way of life, like the Buddha. The Buddha used to be a prince. He lived among the wealth and riches of a prince, but he also know that in his future he will have to get old, get sick, and die, and so he know that sooner or later he will have to meet these things. So the best way for him to do is to switch before it's too late. So he gave up his princely life at the age of 29 and went to live as a hermit, a monk in the forest for 6 years. And then he eventually transit his life to a new way of life by discovering the inner peace within himself. Once he had found that, then he could always be happy regardless of whatever happened to his body. So this is his message. He come and tell us to change our way of life, because our way of life will lead us to the waterfall. Sooner or later, the river that we ride on will end up in a waterfall. So better get on land before you get to the waterfall. Okay, all right.
Hello, everybody. Prajan, I read
Can you
your
speak close to
yeah. Prajan, I read your book.
Yes.
Very simple to understand. I like it very much.
Good.
And I have two questions. First question: what time should I start to teach my kids to mindfulness? I mean, to meditation.
When they can do it. When they cannot do it, then don't teach them.
Now, too many noise, like not noise. They too active, cannot sit.
You have to make it as part of a activity, family activity. Like evening before you go to bed, everybody come sit together and meditate. You can teach them, but whether they can learn or not is up to their ability.
So if they want, they can. If they don't want,
then you don't force them.
Okay. And one more, I have found some technique, but I didn't heard about this. It's called Butho.
Butho.
Yeah, Butho.
It's a mantra. You recite the word mantra, Butho, in order to stop you from thinking about other things.
So you just repeat it?
Yeah, mentally, without
I know,
not
just
verbally.
rising and falling.
No need to just stick
Butho.
to the Butho. Forget about the breath, the rising and falling. You can replace that. You replace the rising and falling with Butho. So it's up to your preference. Some people like to watch the breath, so they watch the rising and falling of the abdomen. Some people like to recite a mantra, so they just keep reciting the mantra. It's the same way to stop the mind from thinking about something else. That's all. It's a technique. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Ajahn, at the end of the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, where the Buddha told about different pace of attainment, 7 days until 7 years, what I would like to ask, what is the cause, the difference between the pace of it? Is it more because of the past factor, or is it more on the present factors?
On the what we call the learning faculty of each person. Each person has different learning faculty. We call the five. Usually the factor is wisdom, panya, the ability to learn. To learn, each person has different level of understanding of the Dhamma. Some people has to read or listen to many times before they can understand. Some people can read or listen one time and will understand. And another thing is how much effort each person has. Some people has a lot of effort, some people have not as much as the effort, doesn't practice as hard as much. So this is will be the cause of the variation of the time to attain the ability to understand the Dhamma and the ability to apply the Dhamma in your practice. Viriya and Panya and mindfulness, the ability to have mindfulness. So you need this Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. This can be vary from person to person. หนูเข้ามาได้ วางไว้ตรงนั้นถูก See, when the Buddha gave his first sermon, he gave to the five ascetics. They all have mindfulness, they all have samadhi, but their ability to grasp at the Dhamma differs. Only one out of five could understand the Four Noble Truths and apply in his heart right away. The other four still didn't quite understand, so they did not become enlightened yet. But after they contemplate and think about it over a few times, then they finally understood, and they then become enlightened. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I wanna ask about arrogance.
About what?
Arrogance. Before I thought I'm not arrogant, or I'm humble. The more I practice and study on Buddhism, I understood and I knew that I'm very arrogant. And before I thought about arrogance is like comparable thought to others and me. And now I understood about arrogance is more thought which consider me importantly. And I wanna ask what is the if you give me advice about this arrogance, what is the attitude about arrogance in terms of Buddhism, and how to deal with this arrogance during for my practice?
Well, according to Buddhism, arrogance is the result of the mind's delusion. The mind not knowing itself what it is. So it perform it creates or it formed an impression of itself as some kind of being that is above other people. Because when it feels that it's better than other people, it makes it feel good. So it wants to be better than other people, other beings. But this can be a problem because every being thinks the same way. So there will be a constant conflict and constant fighting against other beings. So this is the harmfulness of being arrogant, is putting yourself into trouble. But if you think yourself the other way, then you will get yourself out of trouble. If you think yourself as nobody, which is the real nature of the mind, your real nature, you are the mind, and the real nature of the mind is the one who knows or knowing. But with delusion in the mind becomes deluded into think that it is a supreme being. So it's higher and better than other beings. So to get rid of this delusion, to get at the root, you have to meditate. When you meditate, you can stop your mind from thinking, from creating this perception of yourself. When the mind becomes totally still, then when there's no thought, no thinking, then there is no sense of self within the mind. Then you will realize that the sense of self is only self-created, created by the mind, by the thoughts. And this kind of thinking then will send you into a lot of trouble, because then you want to become better. You have to prove yourself that you are better than other people, other beings. And you can then have to get into fight with other people because they would not accept your supremacy. Yeah. They think they are better than you, and you think you are better than them. So you have to prove by killing each other. See, but if you change your attitude and say, "I'm nobody, I'm just a piece of rag that anybody can step upon," then you won't run into any problem with anybody. Then you can live in peace and happiness. Because true peace and happiness is when you have no conflict with anybody. As soon as you have conflict, you will never find peace, because if you beat someone else would want to beat you, because they want to beat the champ. See, if you're the champ, then you have to keep protecting your champ, but you cannot protect it all the time, because eventually you're gonna get older and older. Look at all the champs. After they become champ for a few years, they have to lose their champs because somebody younger and stronger and better will come and take over them. So if you don't want to live a life of conflict, live a life of disappointment, then you should live according to who you really are. You are really nobody. Live like a nobody. Then you will find peace and happiness within yourself.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Can you send the microphone to?
I was wondering if you could give some advice on how to best deal with addictive behavior, because when you look around now, people seem to be becoming more and more addicted to devices, and
You just have to resist your addiction. You just have to resist your desire.
and how about helping others who seem to be just the
First they
addiction
have
seems to be
to-
growing?
First, they have to want to get rid of their problem.
Oh, they have to want to.
Yeah, if they don't want to, then you cannot help them. Yeah.
Okay.
Like people has to go into rehab because they want to correct their behavior, and they know they couldn't do it on themselves by themselves, so they have to go into rehab. They have to depend on other people to discipline themselves. They cannot self-discipline, so they have to spend money to have somebody to discipline them. Like when you go to a monastery or temples or a retreat center, they have strict rules in which you have to follow. Then you cannot do what you used to like to do. And they usually will have nothing that you addicted to have. So once you are not what you call, can't think of the word, not using it, depending on it, then your mind will gradually loosen that addiction, and long enough it will have no more addiction left in the mind.
Right.
It takes time, but during this time it can be quite miserable. So it depends on the retreat, which way, if they know some way to eliminate or to help alleviate this misery. If you go to Buddhist temple, we'll teach you to learn to meditate, because this is the best way to minimize your misery. Because your misery arises from your mind constantly generating this desire for the things you are addicted to. And if you can somehow stop this desire by concentrating your mind on something like your breath or on a mantra, then you can gradually decrease your thought, your desire on the things that you want to have. Then you can eventually stop the mind from thinking, from desiring for briefly. Your mind will become peaceful and happy, become normal again, let's put it that way. So once you know this, every time you have any addiction, then you just try to meditate instead. You have a choice, you want to drink or you want to meditate. If you want to drink, you're going to have to drink for the rest of your life. If you meditate, then you will be free from addiction to alcohol or to drugs, to whatever you are addicted to.
Okay. Thank you.
So meditation is the best, but it's the hardest method to use, because we're not used to control our mind, our thoughts. We generally let our desire drive our mind and our thoughts. So when we have to come and stop it, we find it very difficult to do. But it's not impossible.
So you do it gradually.
Yeah, it depends on your ability to control your thought, to stop your thought. Depends on your ability to concentrate on some other thing, such as a mantra, or if you're doing something, concentrate on what you do, and don't let your mind go think about other things. Such as if you're taking a shower, just keep watching your body action. Just stay with your body. Don't let your mind go somewhere else. Concentrate on your body action. You walk, concentrate on walking. You eat, concentrate on eating. If you can concentrate your mind on your body, then you can reduce or eliminate your thoughts about other things. Then the bad feeling that arises from your desire to have something will not happen, will not arise. So this is the best way. This is the permanent way of solving your problem. Once you can control your thought, control your desire, your cravings, then you are in good shape. Okay?
Thank you very much.
All right.
คำถามจากคุณเตียว W. Tat Ajahn, Teal WT from Malaysia. I notice that my meditation sometimes smooth, but sometimes not. Is it because lack of mindfulness?
That's the main point. The main thing is mindfulness, but there are other factors. Because each day you might have do different things. You might have problem. You might not have problem, and this can be cause that can affect your meditation. Someday you have lots of problem when you try to meditate. This problem won't go away. It keeps coming back into your mind. So it can become a hindrance. Someday there are no problems. When you sit, then you can become calm easily. So there are many different factors, but the most important factor is mindfulness. Your mindfulness can also vary. Sometimes you are more mindful, sometimes you are not mindful. So it depends on a few these different factors that can affect your meditation practice.
จากคุณสตีเฟนมอริสนะฮะ
How are you, Stephen?
ครับเขาบอก Hello พระอาจารย์ It has been a while. I hope you are well. My question is, when do you switch to vipassana meditation, and when you have calmed your mind in samadhi meditation? Sadhu.
Okay, let me give you an example. Like swimming. When you're first learning how to swim, you want to practice swimming until you become very adept with your swimming before you can enter into swimming competition. Okay, so swimming competition is like the practice of vipassana. Samadhi is the practice of learning how to calm your mind, how to control your mind. So first you have to be able to control your mind first. Be able to enter into samadhi at any time you want to. Once you have mastered your samadhi, then you can then go to the next level. You go learn how to investigate the nature of things, to be able to see things as they are. Namely, everything in this world is impermanent. Everything will hurt you sooner or later because you cannot control them. So if you can, this is the way to go after you have mastered your samadhi. Because when you practice samadhi, you want to stop thinking. But when you develop vipassana, you have to think. If you cannot stop thinking yet, then you should not go to the level of vipassana, because then it will be a hindrance to your practice of samadhi. When you practice samadhi, you want to stop thinking. But when you practice vipassana, you have to think. So before you can go to vipassana, you must first be able to have the ability to stop your thinking. Because if you don't, you will not have the strength to be able to get rid of your defilement. So before you can go to vipassana, to teach your mind to see that everything is bad for you, it will hurt you sooner or later, then you can stop your desire, your defilement. But if you have no samadhi, even if you know that they hurt you, you cannot stop them. Like people who are addicted to alcohol or drugs, they know they are bad for them, but they could not stop their mind from using them because they don't have the ability to stop thinking about them. So first you need to be able to stop your thoughts. Then you learn. Then you can go to teach your mind what is good or bad for you. And when your mind wants something bad, then you can stop your mind from thinking about that thing. Then when you don't think about that thing, then you won't have any desire to have them. So to summarize, you have to master your samadhi first before you go on to your vipassana practice. Okay.
Good afternoon.
How are you? Go ahead.
Very well, thank you. I'm sorry I can't speak Thai.
It's okay.
English. In my job, I talk a lot to people, but I know I'm talking so fast. It's getting out of control. I can't control how fast I speak. What do you suggest?
You cannot control your speech
Getting too fast.
Too
Out
fast.
of my control sometimes.
because you think too fast. Yeah. So
Maybe.
you should slow it down by reciting a mantra. If you feel like you're going too fast, you can slow it down by reciting a mantra or chant a verse. Keep reciting it until you feel more normal. Then you can restart your talk.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's simple. Like when you feel you're talking too fast, then you should stop and then recite a mantra to calm your mind down. Once your mind becomes normal, then you can restart your talk again.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Thank you very much.
Okay, the mantra can be anything. We use Bhutto, 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 Bhutto. Just recite one word.
Just that.
Bhutto, Bhutto, Buddha, Buddha.
Oh yeah, Bhutto, Bhutto.
Yeah, Bhutto, Bhutto, Bhutto. Just recite mentally. Then your mind will become calmer and slower. When you feel excited, just use a mantra. It can reduce your excitement.
That's nice and simple. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Hello, you from Canada?
Yes.
Where from in Canada?
I'm from Toronto.
Toronto. You know anybody who recommended you here? Anybody recommend you to come here?
Well, I actually stayed for 3 months at the Thai Forest Monastery near Toronto. That's where I learned about this lineage, and that's why I come here.
That's you learn about this place here?
Yeah.
I see. Can you speak closer to the microphone?
Okay.
Close to your mouth.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to ask?
Yes.
Close.
Yes.
Talk close to your mouth. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ajahn, I want to ask, in a sutta, the Buddha talks about the consciousness that is all luminous, signless, invisible, and with the where the 4 elements find no footing. With the cessation of consciousness, everything is destroyed. I wonder if this cessation of consciousness is the Nibbana, and if so, how do we experience that?
Well, the consciousness is the mind, see. The mind that comes and connect with the body. The body is made up of the 4 elements. While the mind is sometimes called the 5th element, called the knowing element or the consciousness. And Nibbana has nothing to do with whether the mind is connected to the 4 elements or not. Nibbana appears when the mind has purified itself, get rid of defilements, namely greed, hate, and delusion.
Yes.
Through the practice of the triple training, morality, charity, morality, and meditation. Once the mind has been purified, then the mind becomes Nibbana. Nibbana is the definition of Nibbana is the pure mind, the mind that has been cleansed from the defilement by the practice of charity, morality, and meditation.
I see. So it's not like the mind have to disappear or cease by itself.
No, the mind never cease, never disappear. The mind is an eternal element, part of the 6 elements that builds the universe, that makes up the universe, namely the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air, the wind element, the mind or the knowing element, and the space element. When they combine, they become planets, they become stars, they become human beings, they become animals, they become plants, everything. These are the building blocks of the universe. And then are permanent. They never disappear. They cannot not be destroyed nor created. But they can transform. They can, when they combine with other elements, to form something. Like the body is formed when the four elements combine and connected to the fifth element, which is the mind. But they only combine temporarily. Eventually they will then they will go separate ways again.
Okay.
So this is the process of creating and destroying
Yes.
of things in the universe.
Okay. One question on the practice. I've been practicing Anapanasati, and sometimes the mind and the body feels very calm, like very settled down. But other times the mind feels very happy, like it's up, going up, lifted up. I'm not sure which state is better for investigation.
You first need to calm the mind, to make it neutral, to make it emotionless, no emotion, no love, hate, fear, or delusion. And this could only attain by concentrating your mind on one object, such as your breath, or concentrating on a mantra, reciting a mantra. This will lead the mind into become still. When the mind becomes still, then the mind will be without any emotion, but it will be very happy.
Yes.
So that's why you want to first establish the mind to be in that state and try to maintain it all the time, not even just when you're meditating. You should have it even after you come out of your meditation. Once you can maintain this calm and emotionless mind, then it's ready to develop wisdom, to investigate the truth of all things that the mind becomes involved with, to teach the mind to know their true nature. And then once the mind sees that everything that the mind becomes involved with will hurt the mind eventually, then the mind will then disconnect and detach from everything. Then the mind will become free from any harmful effects that can hurt the mind.
Is it necessary to see a nimitta in
No,
the form
no.
of light or?
Nimitta is usually a hindrance more than a help. So when you meditate for calm, you should disregard any nimittas. Nimitta arises due to your unmindfulness. When you lose your mindfulness, when your mindfulness is not continuous, then sometimes nimitta will arise. So you should come back and concentrate on your meditation object. Then no nimittas will arise.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Please speak very close to the microphone.
Ajahn, I heard you talk a lot about upekkha, so I want to ask a question about equanimity. So the Buddha said once that having known the unsatisfactoriness of the five sense objects, one should then avoid the equanimity that is diversified based on diversity, and instead develop the equanimity that is unified based on unity. So I assume the equanimity that is unified is referring to the fourth jhana.
That's right. That's right.
But I don't understand the first part. Why should one avoid equanimity that is diversified based on diversity?
I don't think there is such a thing. I think just people just make it up. There's only one equanimity from the fourth jhana. That's when the mind becomes neutral, without any emotion, no love, hate, delusion, or fear. That's it. That's the state of mind when a person enters into jhana, where he will experience the supreme bliss. Once he gets to that point, then he no longer needs anything to make him happy. So he can relinquish and give up everything.
Okay, thank you. My other question is three types of concentration. There is the emptiness concentration, the signless concentration, and the undirected concentration. These
Don't worry about them. No.
no.
It's all theoretical, and it's not. You don't get there by just thinking about it.
No.
You have to develop samadhi and panya. You have to bhavana, samatha bhavana and vipassana bhavana. Then you'll get to those emptiness.
Okay.
Pointless to think about it.
Right.
Useless.
So when we say about the pure consciousness, I mean the pure awareness, when the mind rests in that pure awareness, is that considered a signless concentration?
See, there's no need to know all these things. Just get to the meat. Don't forget about the name of the meat that you're gonna eat. Go to the meat. Forget about the name. You don't need to know the name of the meat, whether it's steak, sirloin, or T-bone steak, or whatever. You just want to eat the meat to make you full, satisfied, content. So just get to the emptiness, and then you don't care what name it is. If you're just sitting here and think about this thing, they'll become a hindrance for you to get there. Because in order to get there, you have to stop thinking. See? So it's better not to know anything about them. Just know one mantra, Bhutto, Bhutto, and stick to that Bhutto. And then it will lead you to that emptiness eventually. So when you practice, you hardly have to know anything. You need mindfulness and stop thinking.
Yes. Yes. So going from mindfulness to concentration is not an automatic.
It is. You need mindfulness before you can concentrate.
Yes, exactly. But I think there might be something more, because now that I remember, the Buddha talks about an analogy. So there's an analogy about the skillful and unskillful cook. So if a cook works very hard and cooked a lot of food, but if he doesn't get the mind and the preferences of the kings, then the king doesn't like the food, and the cook end up not getting paid, even though he works very hard. But a skillful cook works very hard and cook a lot of food, and he also get the preference of the king, so he end up getting paid a lot. So the moral of the story is that for a meditator who works very hard by being very mindful of the body, feeling, mind, and the Dhamma, but if he doesn't get the sign of the mind, it'd be unlikely for him to get concentrated.
I don't know. You have to find out yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
It's beyond my scope. I couldn't go that far. I only go with just mindfulness or mantra.
Thank you, Ajahn. So for a very long time, I've been very confused.
Can you speak louder?
Okay. So for quite some time, I've been confused about the first three links of dependent origination. So delusion conditions sankhara, and sankhara conditions consciousness, and consciousness conditions namarupa. So for example, I think maybe delusion is in the consciousness. So how does delusion conditions consciousness the delusion, but does he have sankhara, I mean good intention? And how consciousness conditions namarupa? I would really appreciate your insight on those.
See, it's a chain of event. Sometimes the word condition can be misleading translation, but they are one thing causing another thing to happen. That's what it means. Delusion means you don't know where real happiness is. So when you don't know that the real happiness is in yourself, so you go seek your happiness somewhere else. So your delusion will then tell your sankhara, which is your thought, to go seek for happiness. And the way to seek for happiness outside of yourself, you need to have a body. So sankhara then send it to vijnana. Vijnana is the sense consciousness, the sense consciousness that connect to the five senses, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the body. So the mind will then go out to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body, so it can then contact the sound, smell, sight, sound, smell, taste, and tactile objects. And when it does that, it starts to experience feelings, good feelings and bad feelings. So that's how it goes after happiness. Go through the flesh, not go through the spiritual, because of ignorance, not knowing the real happiness is in the spiritual, not in the flesh. So with people who has the wisdom, they know that the real happiness is inside the mind. So they don't go out. They stop going out to the flesh.
Right. But how about those beings in the form rupa and arupa world?
They find it in the flesh, in the spirit, in jhana. So they don't need to have body. Those who are in the form, what you call the rupa and arupa realms. Only those who still seek the sensual things will be born in the sensual realms.
Right, but
Like
those
human beings and the spiritual being that still crave for the sensual experience.
Yes. So those formless beings in the rupa and arupa realms, they're still not freed from samsara, right?
Because they don't know that the cause for them to be attached to samsara is their desire for this form of happiness, which is still a shackle, not the real freedom of not the real free happiness. It's only the Buddha who have discovered that as long as you still have desire or cravings for these two forms of happiness, either spiritual or physical, you will still be attached to the realms of rebirth. The only way to get out of this is to relinquish or let go of all your desire or craving for these two types of happiness, even the spiritual type. Okay.
Thank you.
Go on.
Yes. My other question is on how to develop the Eightfold Noble Path and the Seven Factors of Enlightenment and the five spiritual powers. The Buddha said we need to develop each one of these.
They are all the same.
Yeah.
You practice sila, samadhi, panya, and all these things will come into play.
Right. And so what I'm confused about is
You don't pinpoint one group or another. They all come in together. But when you analyze them, you can analyze them that they are such and such. But when you practice, when you start to develop mindfulness, you are actually developing other factors as well.
the Buddha said we need to develop each one of them based on seclusion, dispassion,
because
cessation.
if you don't have seclusion, you will be distracted, see. So you need to be alone. Like monks go and live in the forest by themselves, then they can concentrate on developing these factors.
Like for mundane factors like a right livelihood or right speech, I mean, how do you develop these based on seclusion?
Well, everybody has to make a living, see.
Yeah.
And if you still have to make a living, you make a living that doesn't hurt other people. Because when you do hurt other people, you get into trouble. Then that can disrupt your development. See, livelihood has different level. If you are a lay person, you have one type of livelihood. If you are a monk, you have another kind of livelihood. The livelihood of a monk is to go on alms round, see, once a day, and then that takes care of his livelihood. 1 hour a day, then the rest of the time then he can devote to his development of the other spiritual factors.
Thank you. My last question is on my practice. So recently, I've been focusing on the 32 body parts and perceive the loathsomeness of the body. And I've seen a lot of the pictures of corpses, and I felt so disgusted by this body that I can hardly get lift my mind to be happy to enter jhana, because the mind is so dispassionate about this body and the whole world really. So I realized this is still the first stage. So how should one go proceed from here?
Well, you sometimes you practice ahead of yourself. See? Instead of developing calm first, you go to vipassana, and then it is too strong for you. It can then have a diverse effect on your mind. So you need a calm mind before you can go to this level of vipassana. So you should come back and do samadhi first before you go to panya.
So I should put aside those perceptions first. Okay.
Or you can use it on occasion when you really need it as a temporary measure to get rid of your sexual desire, for instance. But you shouldn't use it as a means of eradicating your sexual desire entirely, because you need a strong mind, a calm mind in order to do that.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Please speak close to the microphone so we can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I would like to ask you one question. What's the difference between, if any difference, between mindfulness and concentration?
It's a word really to define the capability of the mind to be fixed on one thing at a time. Being mindful is meaning for your mind to be fixed on one thing at a time, such as your breath. If you sit watching your breath, you should not do anything about any other thing. If you recite a mantra, then you should just keep reciting a mantra. If you keep watching the movement of your body, then you keep watching the movement of your body and not do anything else. Normally we do many things at the same time. We watch the body, like when we brush our teeth, we also send the mind and think about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. This is not being mindful or not being concentrated. If you are mindful or concentrated, then you should be only fixed on one thing at the time. This way will then bring your mind to become still, and when your mind becomes still, you can be happy. So that's the purpose of meditation, is to find happiness, a different kind of happiness. The kind of happiness that you don't need to have money. All you need is the time and the ability to concentrate your mind on one object. If you sit and meditate, you can watch your breath. Keep watching your breath, in and out breath, at the tip of your nose. Don't have to follow your breath. Just watch when the breath comes in, when the breath goes out, and just keep watching like that. If you don't think about other things, eventually your mind will stop thinking, and then your mind becomes still and then become happy. Then you don't need to spend money on anything to make you happy. Then you don't have to go to work. Then you can become a monk. See, a monk doesn't have to work and can be happy, much happier than being a millionaire. Because even millionaire has to come to monks to ask for a way to make them happy. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So the word is sometimes we have to use some kind of word to describe something, and sometimes people use different words to refer to the same thing. Mindfulness, concentration, focus, these are the things that you use your mind with to make your mind become still, to stop your mind from thinking. Because if you keep thinking, you will never be happy. The more you think, the more hungry you become, the more desiring you become. And the more desire you have, the more restlessness and dissatisfaction you will have. You only find happiness and contentment when you stop thinking, stop desiring.
Understand?
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Ajahn, I would like to ask about Upekkha. If we have Upekkha, does it mean that we don't get involved in other people's business, including those our family and friends?
Well, we have two kinds of upekkha. One kind of upekkha is when you're in samadhi. When you're in samadhi, then you don't get involved with anybody. When you meditate and your mind becomes calm and peaceful and upekkha, then you don't get involved with anybody at that time. But after you come out of your meditation, then if you can still maintain upekkha, you can still involve with people, but you won't have the emotional force behind your involvement. You will involve people without any emotion. You will not have any prejudice toward those people that you are involved with. Whether you would like them or you would hate them, there would be no such thing in your mind. You will deal with them on the fact itself, on the body itself. If the person you're involved with needs help, needs food, you'll give them food. If they need shelter, you'll find shelter for them. You still can get involved, but you don't have any emotional feeling attached to them. Whether you can help them or not, you will not feel bad if you try your best. So this is how the mind will be like without any emotion. It can still deal with people, but deal without any love, hate, fear, or delusion. Okay? All right. Any more question on your part? Okay. Ask all you want. Now is the time. No money. You don't need to pay.
Thank you, Ajahn. As I think most of people know, there are two kinds of meditation, samatha and vipassana.
Yes.
Sometimes we feel very comfortable into samatha, and then we don't want to switch to vipassana. So could you explain or give some advice to let us know when it's time to move from samatha to vipassana?
Yes. Vipassana is the second level of practice. You first have to complete your samatha practice with. When I say complete, means you have to be fully capable of calming your mind at any time you want. When you meditate, you should be able to calm your mind within 5 minutes and should stay at least for an hour, become still for at least an hour or more. Then you have this, what we call samatha capability. You can stop your mind anytime when your mind becomes restless or agitated, or angry, or greedy, or desiring. If you can still not control your emotion with samatha, then you cannot go on to the level of vipassana. You know why? Because samatha and vipassana do the same function, is to get rid of your emotion. But samatha can only do it temporarily. If you want to get rid of your emotion permanently, you need to go up on the vipassana level. But before you can go up to the vipassana level, you have to be capable of getting rid of your emotion, your love, hate, delusion on the level of samatha first. Once you can do that, then you want to completely rid of all your emotion, all of your defilement, then you need the work of vipassana. See what I mean? Samatha is simply stop your thinking. When you stop your thinking, you can stop your anger, you can stop your greed, your desire. But when you start to restart thinking, then your greed and hate come back again. So if you want to get rid of this hate, love, hate, delusion permanently, even when you think they don't come back again, then you need to develop vipassana. Vipassana is to see things that you are involved with to be three characteristics, to have three characteristics, that they are impermanent, they are constantly changing, they are not always under your control, and they can make you hurt you when they cannot satisfy you, when they cannot do what you want them to do for you. So if you can see them as having three characteristics, these three characteristics, then you would then stop your desire to deal with them, to possess them, to have them. Then you can just remain living alone without having to have anything. Because you will see with wisdom or vipassana that it's better to have nothing than to have something. Because as soon as you have something, that something will eventually hurt your mind. Because you will become emotionally attached to them. And you don't want to lose them once you have them. But everything comes and goes. And there's no way you can stop them from going, leaving you sooner or later. So this is vipassana. If you can see everything as having the three characteristics, as being anicca, impermanent, dukkha, hurting, harmful, anatta, not under your control, then you would not want to have anything to do with them. Then you would rather live alone. Then every time you think, you will not think of having desire for anything, because you see everything as having the three characteristics. This is vipassana. You have to have the samatha first. You have to have the ability to stop your desire first, your greed, your hate, your delusion first. Although it's temporarily, then you can then go up to the next level by using vipassana to get rid of your greed, hate, and delusion permanently. Okay? All right.
I have a question about parents, because in Eastern cultures, I think the children are taught to be obedient to the parents. But sometimes families are difficult and they don't understand our pursuit of Dhamma, and they themselves maybe don't practice the precepts. So I was just wondering, how do you reconcile, the dilemma? And on the one hand, there's this social pressure for you to be obedient, be a nice child, but on the other hand, you want to pursue Dhamma and not, but you don't want to.
You have to take obedience, not absolutely. Right. There's no such thing as absolute obedience. There should be relative obedience. If you can obey them, do it, because it will make them feel good. Because they've been good and kind to you, and you should at least repay them by not hurting them by being disobedient. If the thing they ask you to do doesn't hurt you or doesn't hurt anybody, and you can do it, and then I think you should do it. But if there are things that you have to do, you must do, and they don't want you to do, then maybe you can disobey them. If what you do doesn't hurt them or doesn't hurt anybody and benefit yourself. Like the Buddha, he had to disobey his father. His father didn't want him to become a monk, so he has to run away in the middle of the night. If he asked permission, he wouldn't be able to get it. So this is something you have to evaluate each time when you have to do something that might be contrary to your parents' wishes. You have to see the bigger picture.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. But like for a woman, it's hard to get ordained. In that case.
Well, it's not hard, but it's not impossible. It just means you have to take the harder test than men. That's all. There are women who ordain, so you cannot say that women cannot ordain. There are women who ordain. So you just have to find the right place that will ordain you, that's all.
You mean in Thailand or in other?
Anywhere, it doesn't matter. Once you have the desire, wherever there is a will, then there is a way. If there is no will, then there is no way. So it depends on how strong your will is. If you have weak will, when you run into obstacle, then you say, "Oh no, I don't want to do it." If you have strong will, then you eventually will find a way to what you look for. Okay?
Is it always better to be ordained than to practice meditation at home?
It depends on the community of people you live with. If you live with a community of an enlightened person, then it's better than to be alone. But if you live with a community of delusional mind, then it's better to be alone. So you have to pick the right community also to ordain.
Yes, thank you. Is there any places you'd recommend?
I don't know.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Okay.
Ajahn, I have a couple of questions on Vipassana meditation. I understand that the deeper our concentration, the more profound our insight is. And as we continue investigating, the insight will get weaker and weaker, and more our intellect kind of get into play. But recently, a meditation teacher that I met said that sometimes insight, what I believe insight might be only just random thought. So you don't really know what are real insight unless you challenge the mind when you're investigating by constantly negating the insight that you get until the mind really understands. I mean, is that true?
Well, when we talk about wisdom or insight, we're talking about the truth that we haven't seen yet. What we see is not what we think. What is not what we think it is. So we have, like in the old days, when people look at the Earth's surface and they think it is flat, but it is not flat. It's round, but it's so big in comparison to the size of the human being. So the curvature of the Earth seems flat to a very small figure. But there are some wise people who can find ways of disproving this thought that the Earth is flat by looking at the ship coming in from the sea. When you first look at the ship, you first see the ship, you don't see the whole ship, right? You just see the flag, the highest point of the ship first, and then gradually, then you can see the lower parts of the ship. So it means that the surface of the boat that the ship travels is not flat. If it's flat, then you must see the whole ship at the same time. So this is how they prove that the world is not flat. The Earth is not flat. The Earth is round. But it's so huge, so big in comparison to the human body. So from the perspective of the human body, it looks flat. But with the use of investigation and contemplation, you finally realize that it's not flat. This is the same thing. What we see is not what we think it is. We see things and then we think them to be this and that. We see the body and we say human, man, woman, father, mother, sister. But the Buddha said this is not the truth. The truth is the body is not man, woman. The body is just the 32 parts. Hair of the head, hair of the body, and so forth. And this is not the true, because this will eventually change into something else. It will then return to the 4 elements. So actually everything that you see are actually the 4 elements. If you look deep enough, if you investigate the truth. So this is what you want to get to inside. You have to investigate before you can see the real truth. Not the truth what you think or you've been told. We've been told the body is myself, your body is your body. But in fact the body is nobody. The body is made up of the 4 elements that eventually will have to dissolve and return to its original part. The earth will return to earth, the water, so forth. So this is some process of investigation to be able to have the insight of the truth. Insight to see the real thing, not what you think it is. So how to get to this insight is up to each individual, because each individual might have some previous experiences before. Some might not need to investigate a lot, some might already understand. So it depends on each individual. So I cannot comment on each individual view on this development of insight. But eventually what you have to find out is that they have the 3 characteristics. They are impermanent. They can hurt you if you cling to them. If you have any desire toward them, then you will be disappointed, because they will not be what you want them to be, because they are beyond your control. So you have to see these 3 characteristics. Then you have wisdom to let go, to have nothing to do with them.
Yes, that's right. Do you mind if I share my personal Vipassana experience? Because a few months ago, I experienced some kind of deep samadhi, and I used that to investigate the 6 senses, and I literally see the dukkha and the non-self of the 6 senses. I see that the senses are like burning, like fire burning. It's not just real fire, but an analogy to say that they are dukkha. And I can also experience the awareness itself, to see that there's no person knowing, and there's nothing to know, just the pure knowingness. And I was quite overwhelmed by that insight, and was able to live in that kind of reality for days or even weeks. But now, like a few months have passed, I feel like the mind has been gradually brainwashed to the orderly way, and I have to kind of remember that experience to get in touch with that insight. So, my question
that
is
experience
that real
is still
insight?
not considered real. It's still imaginative. It's in your imagination. You have to experience in real life, in real time, like right now. When anything happens to your body, and see how you react. If you have wisdom, you will have no reaction whatsoever. If you react, it means you're still deluded.
So should I just practice to experience that insight more and more often, or should I change the
You just
method?
have to put it to the test. That's what I'm talking about. If you think you can let go of your body, then you should put this to the test. Subject the body to some kind of harm or danger, and see how the mind would react. under that situation, whether it let go or whether it clings to the body.
Yeah, I believe that, a few days after that experience, I can quickly let go, but now kind of the mind kind of revert back to the early
That's because it's still not real, because you haven't yet faced life to death experience. See? It's only life to death experience will tell you whether you truly see the body as not yourself or not.
Okay.
By sitting and thinking about it is still imaginative. It's still not real. You have to face a real situation, like your flight back home might have some engine trouble, and the pilot say they might not be able to land, and see how you would react under such situation. Will you still remain undisturbed, or you become totally berserk? That's the test that you have to go through.
Okay, I see. So in terms of insight investigation, is there a sequence or order as to what to investigate first, and then get some tests, and then what to investigate
according to
next?
4 Satipatthana, body, feeling, mind, and Dhamma. See, these are the 4 stages of investigation. You let go of the body first. Then you let go of the feeling, the painful feeling of the body. Then you become a Sotapanna. See. Then you have to let go of your sexual desire. Then you become an Anagami. Then you let go of your mind, your happiness within your mind itself. So this you have to go by steps. You cannot jump over one or the other. They come in sequence. First have to let go of the body, let go of the feeling, let go of your sexual desire. Then you can let go of your mental happiness. Even mental happiness is still considered anicca dukkha anatta.
Is there any test to verify
Yeah,
we
everyone.
can let go of the
If you
mental
want to find out whether you still cling to your body or not, you just have to expose your body to life and death situation, and be willing to let it die. If you can let it, you're not afraid of dying, then you know you have let go of your body. If you want to see if you still let go of your painful feeling, you just have to sit and let the body experience the painful feeling. Leave it alone. Don't do anything. Let it come and go by itself. Experience painful feeling. Like sitting for hours, and your body seems excruciating pain, but you still remain undisturbed by such a pain. Then you know you have let go of the painful feelings. Then after that, you will know as you progress, because there will be desire that will come up, that you know that will still cause your mind to be not peaceful. So you have to get rid of them.
How about the test for the mental happiness? Is there?
That's what I say. It's too far to talk about now, because you won't understand. You have to go through each level of practice. They are like what you call examination question that you have to pass one step before you can go on to the next level. To talk about it now will be might be confusing rather than be enlightening. So I'd rather not talk about it.
Thank you, Ajahn.